Hi everyone, I'm joelstottjess with Life in Nica. In this video, I'm going to go through everything involved with getting residency in Nicaragua from start to finish. So for this and everything else about life or investing in the country, check out the site at lifeinnica.com. If you're watching on YouTube, the links I'll be mentioning are in the comment section below, and you can always check out all the articles at lifeinnica.com/blog. So if you also enjoy these videos, go ahead and like them and follow us for everything about Nicaragua. So if you're thinking about investing in Nicaragua, getting residency is something you'll want to consider. Now, whether or not you need that residency depends on your goals and a number of other factors. So let's start with the basic questions. Do I need to be a resident to invest in the country? No, you do not need to be a citizen or a resident to buy property in Nicaragua. Foreigners can purchase property, own corporations, use those corps to own properties, all with the same rights as nationals. Now, for a full breakdown on that, you can check out the article and the video, 14 things to know about buying property in Nicaragua. So next question, are you planning on living down here for more than 90 days at a stretch? Now, the Nicaraguan tourist visa is good for 90 days for citizens of most countries. So if you're only coming down for a few months at a time, you might not need it, at least right away. You can also pop down into Costa Rica for a quick in and out of the border and get a new 90 days. Now, a lot of people choose just to come here and then go down and do that. If you're here for 180 days, you only need to go out once. This only works for Costa Rica though. So Nicaragua is part of the CA4 with El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. So as a result, leaving to any of these countries does not get you a new stamp. Costa Rica is not part of that CA4 though. So even an hour spent down there and coming back in, just like tagging up in baseball, works just fine. Now, this works better in San Juan del Sur, where all of the, we're about half an hour from the border. Not so great in northern Nicaragua, it might be like a 10-hour round trip. So some people become permanent tourists like this, doing this for years. Prior to the political issues of 2018, the government had started to crack down a little bit on this, questioning people at the border, why they were in and out so often. But over the last 2 years, immigration authorities are back to just stamping people in and out with a smile. The government is happy just to have the foreigners here spending money. So you don't need residency here to own property, but it does have its advantages. So for example, do you want to own a vehicle in Nicaragua? Now with residency, you can register and insure that vehicle in your name. Although it should be noted that if you purchase property with a corporation, you can also use that corporation to register the vehicles. So check out my article on corporations for that one. Now, are you planning on operating a business? A lot of people here will start an operating business, corporation without residency. Whether or not you need that residency to do so depends on the type of corporation, where it is, and what you want to do. If you're looking at doing business in Nicaragua, and you can always check out our consulting services. Now, we might be able to save you thousands by avoiding some common mistakes and help you increase your ROI. So overall, applying for residency is generally advantageous if you're permanently living in Nicaragua. Now, can you apply for this on your own? Short answer is yes, but it's a pain in the ass. So some people with patience and good Spanish skills are able to navigate the government process, but the vast majority of successful applicants for residency use the services of a lawyer agent. Now, there are a number of good ones in the major cities. If you're a client of mine and you're looking to get residency with your property, I help with that. I also help you with it with consulting services if you're looking somewhere out of my region. So if you're looking to get residency or a path to Nicaraguan passport, again, consulting services, these are all things that we can talk about. So on to the next big point, which is the category of residencies. Now, the categories that can be applied for are foreign investor, pensioner, rentista, employee, NGO or ministry, and spousal. So a foreign investor, you can apply with a minimum of $30,000 invested, property, corporation purchase. You need to invest into a business or buy property here, both of which work. There are certain restrictions, and it's important that you structure your corporation in the correct way, so we can help with all of that. Pensioner, you must be 45 or older and demonstrate stable future pension income, must be at least $800 per month. So rentista, similar to pensioner, but it comes from investments. So category is a little more difficult because nature of investments, for example, equity and dividends, can provide variable income as opposed to pensions, which are usually fixed. So next up is employee. We don't do this much that often, but Maybe skilled employees, Nicaraguan companies might bring them on, generally valid for 1 year, can be extended for up to 5. NGO or missionary can create an NGO organization. They can bring workers down too. Those last categories usually granted for a year. Spousal, very simple. Just got to marry a Nicaraguan, requiring only mandatory documents, marriage certificate. That one's really easy. So on to that actually now is the mandatory documents. So the immigration department does list the requirements. I've got the link here, sorry, Spanish only. All documents must be submitted in triplicate. So you need the application form, you need your original passport with color photocopies, you need the photographs, which are going to be your standard little passport size, and then you need the birth certificate, and you also need a criminal record check. So you can get that in your home country, or the easiest way here is actually at Interpol in Managua. So in the article, which I'll link to in the comments, I've got the address on there for there in Managua. Now, you also need a health certificate. You can get that in your home country. Again, this one is easier if you get in Managua at like a health center. So if you're for investors, you need copies of the articles of incorporation, a pension letter if you're a retiree. For rentistas, you need proof of that investment income. If you're applying a spousal, you need that marriage certificate. And also, if you end up importing things with some of these, you can bring some things in sort of duty free. We'll need a complete list of that, again, specific to your situation. So there will likely be some other documents that are required to support this application, especially in the case of investors, retirees, and rentistas. So you can get all this information from your agent or lawyer. Again, if I'm helping with a property, I'm here for you. I'm also here for you on a consulting side. So now, in terms of verifying your documents, if you're from one of the 114 countries of the Hague Convention, you can get an apostille, which is similar to international notarization. Sorry, Canadians, not you, but we'll get to you in a minute. So, to receive an apostille, the documents must be from the applicant's home country, authenticated by the nearest Nicaraguan consulate. Now, to get authentication in the United States, they must be notarized or authenticated by a county clerk or Secretary of State. You can see your Association of Departments of State website for information on where in the US you can get that apostille. So Canadians, we need our documents notarized in Canada, then sent to the Nicaraguan consulate in Washington, D.C. In some cases, documents can also be legalized at the Canadian consulate in Managua. Just check before leaving Canada which documentation can be certified where. So next up is length of the process. So as of now, April 2020, average wait time is 3 to 6 months once the application has been submitted. Another important thing to note is how these applications are processed. So if you submit your application and are missing a document, the immigration department here will notify you and request that new item. However, when you resubmit the new document, your application goes to the bottom of the pile, as it were, meaning potentially extra months of wait time. So it's important to ensure that you submit all the required documents with the apostille or notary certifications the first time. So this is where an agent or your lawyer really earns their fee. So you should also note that the police and health certifications are time sensitive. So they're only valid for 6 months from the time of issue. So you just want to ensure that all your other documents are in order, and then you apply for the police record check and the health certificate. So as long as these certificates are valid at the time of submission, they stay valid during the whole process. So most of these residencies are good for 5 years. Those are the investor, pensioner, rentista, and spousal categories. Usually get 1 year residencies for the employees, NGO, volunteers, missionaries. And your residency does come with some obligations. So with the exception of investors, you have to spend half the year in the country. Investors don't have to spend any time. You have to respect the law, can't get arrested. You will need to renew this every 5 years when it expires. You cannot be involved in political activities. And then for some of these things, you will have to provide some ongoing proof of investment pension income. So if you're applying on your own, the fee as an investor is $213. The organization for the government does not charge for some of the stuff, but you do have to pay to bring their inspector here if you've got an investment that you're using for this application. Pensioner, you have to pay $197. Same thing for spouse. Other categories are $197, so just under $200. Now most lawyers and agents will charge from $700 to $1,200 total. So it is more, but by the time you include the multiple trips to Managua, time, costs, and documentation, it's really worth it, in my opinion, to hire somebody. Also, if your application is rejected due to incomplete or faulty documents on your part, you gotta pay the whole thing and start all over. So, now if you're looking at buying property and using that for residency, contact me anytime. Also, if you're looking for just residency help in general, check out my consulting services, whether that's as a residency or citizenship for a Plan B. Now, do you want to know any more? Get in touch with me. I love to help people invest in Nicaragua and make the move down here. You can find all my info at lifeinnica.com. You can contact me any of the ways listed below. I really try and respond to most messages by the end of the day. And like I said before, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. You can follow us here on YouTube. So thanks for watching. I really hope this was helpful. Have a great day.